Well, I was raised in Apex all of my life, and probably one of my greatest memories is that this community, uh, let's say it started from, say, William Street all the way south, and they used to call this area the low end, okay? And so in the low end, there was, because basically it was only black people living here, there was a grocery store, two restaurants, four churches, barbershop, cafe, all the things that would normally be, in the real world. So that was my world or our world. And when you say it takes a village to raise a child, I am a product of this community, okay? Because when you go to someone's home, that person becomes your mother or father. And if you misbehave there, you will be attended to, let's say that, and then the word will be sent back home, and then your parents would also get you straight. And because the thing is that I was told in raising up, you are a reflection of me. Whatever you do out in the community reflects me. So therefore, so it takes a community to raise a child, and I had the greatest time in this little area. We played, and I was telling someone a few weeks ago, I'm going like, when I was growing up, I thought that we were always, everybody would live right where we are. Because you knew everybody in the street, everybody knew you, everybody knew your parents, everybody knew your grandparents. You were well connected, and everybody could tell your history. And it was funny because my cousins lived across the street, and myself and my brother, they were all, we had 6 cousins, all male, and they would call us the Taylor boys, and so it was really good because we played. It was at a time when I did not know that we were poor because everybody lived the same way. I didn't realize that we were poor until the schools were integrated. And then it's like, hold it, and that's a whole different story. But everybody got along. But now, if you were an outsider coming, crossing, say William Street was the red line. Okay, when you cross William Street, then you entered into, again, the low end. And if you were not a native or resident of the low end, you will be well scrutinized because you're not a part of this community. So that, and it really, one of the things in growing up, especially when I got my first car, and I lived right across the street from St. Mary AME Church, which I'm sitting in now, is that I had a old Lincoln Continental. I mean, it was nice, but it was already 20 years old when I had it. And when we get ready to go to school, everybody in the neighborhood would come and we would ride to school. Well, I'm not a mechanic. My brother is a mechanic. I mean, I'm told right now, my brother tells me the only thing that you should do to your car is put gas in it. That's the only thing you can do. But the car broke down, and a friend of mine named Arthur Mason, who lived right down the street, he said, James, we're going to get your car running. And I said, Arthur Mac, I said, if we get this car running, all the other people that rode to school would no longer ride to school. And he said, I said, yes. I said, because if you cannot be with me when I'm going through, I do not want to have you in my circle of friends when I'm having difficulties. And that has been my mantra all my 66 years, is that if you can walk with me when I'm in the dark places, that's a friend. But if you decide to leave when I'm in a dark place, you're not a friend. You were just an associate. So I love calling Apex home. I love calling the low end home because I'm a product of this community, and I'm proud of this community, and I'm proud of what I've seen take place. And so that's probably one of the most important things, is that it was a very strong community, and everybody, if you needed something, that need will be met by somebody. And also my family is deeply rooted in the community. And that's very important to me, because it's a reflection, because what happens is that the love that they had has been, has been transferred to other generations, to have pride in who you are, and always know that you can accomplish anything if you put your mind to it. And that is, that's really important. As I think about what is an important memory, I remember in 2015, Emmanuel AME Church in South Carolina, they had horrific murder. And it was devastating for that community. But what was that always stay with me now is that at that time, a Reverend Southern, who was the pastor of Apex United Methodist Church, and also Reverend Kyle Meyer, who is the pastor of Peak Church, they contacted me, and we began to have lunch, and we began to talk about coming together as friends, and let us, and I spoke with them, they spoke with me. We had lunch several times, and we got to know each other. And in the conversation, I remember telling Kyle, I said, all right, this is very important to me. When we do this, I don't want this to be a situation that people just feel bad and we're just going to do something. And Kyle said, this is going to be an intentional friendship. This is not a one-time thing we're going to do something good and make us feel good, and then it goes away. And Cal was true to his word, is that we continued to fellowship. And then at one point we did a book study, America's Original Sin. And it dealt with the issues that Black people have dealt with for many, many generations. And the book was really eye-opening to the white people as well as the Black people. And I remember distinctly the first time we met here, and you could have cut the tension with a knife, because no one knew. Everybody wanted to do what was right, but the question is, how do we do what is right? And so we had to address the elephant in the room, and made it clear that this is a no shame zone. We are trying to understand one another. We are trying to understand one another's journey. And in that journey, there are going to be some things that are going to be difficult to talk about. But in order to heal, you must address the difficult things. And of course, in my mind is that our society has been to the point that we don't want to address the difficult things. But if you go to a doctor, the doctor going to ask you, where does it hurt? And then he will give you his diagnosis. Then after the diagnosis, he give you the prognosis. But you can't go to the doctor and lie because you'll never get healed. And that is that was I think the issue that we were addressing. And I feel so blessed to have Reverend Meyer and Reverend Southern to come in, and we fellowship, and we created a bond. I would tell Kyle, I said, you got the north side of Apex and I have the south side of Apex, because, they're on North Salem Street and we are on South Salem Street. So we got this thing covered. And what happened was that even after the book study, some of his members or some of the other members from their church would come to St. Mary. And some of my members would go visit at their church, and that's how it should be, because I remember something that Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King said. He said, Sunday is the most segregated time of the week. And I just believe that there always should be diversity, because once you understand their story, and you are able to kind of walk in their shoes, then what happens is that you appreciate everybody. Everybody is equal. I mean, nobody, and I always say this, nobody decided to be black or white. It just happened. And therefore, at the end of the day, we all are the same. And I think that's what happened with the book study. Everybody realized we're all the same. We have a different story, but we're all the same. We all have the same aspirations. We all have the same things that we want for our children and our grandchildren. It's nothing different. So the Bible says, let us come and reason together. And that's what we did. And I'm just ecstatic. I follow Cal. You can tell that I'm a real Cal fan. I'll follow Reverend Meyer on Facebook and see the great things they're doing. And it's about diversity. It's about the community. And that's what the world needs, is the churches must come together. Regardless of your faith, you must come together, set an example. And as a retired pastor, I hold pastors responsible when they fail to come together. And the sad thing is that a lot of people they're sold on the idea of Jesus, but somehow they miss the message of Jesus. So I don't want to get the preaching, but that's the whole thing, is that I think that if we all understand there's no difference in anybody, and if we address the systems that have been put in place to disenfranchise people, then the world will be a better place. It's going to have to be intentional. It's not just going to happen. And it's past time. Some people say, well, you need to wait. Waiting is over. It is time to address the situations, because people are dying. People are not being who they cannot be their better self, because I cannot be my best until you are your best. So it's an agreement that we work on each other to fulfill the greatest potential that we can give to the community. And it's all about living together, and it makes it easier for all people if we can only understand that simple rule. Treat people like you want to be treated. That's the golden rule, and that's one of my most important memories. What makes Apex home? Of course, I was raised here, but there is a power that compels you. Although I do not live in town per se, but there are memories. There are, how would you say, it's more than regardless of where I ever will live or whatever I will become, Apex will always be my home. I am a native son of Apex. And that, because when you remember all those things, and you remember, say in 1970 when I think it was 1970 when the schools integrated. I met Apex. Because my class was the first class who went through 4 years of integration, and during the whole process, the community and the students and the teachers, that was powerful, because now you come together, you're learning. Everybody was, but by the end of our 12th year, it was like we basically our young adult life. We were raised together, and then you get to know each other, and then you find out that the misinformation, or I like to call lies, that were told, they were just that, and we laughed together, we played together, and Apex, it was like Apex is my hometown. I am just proud of how things changed, and they changed for the better, because there were people who had the foresight as to we have to work together. Now, I must say there was a what'd you call it? When the schools did integrate, that some folks went to, quote, Christian schools. They missed out. As a retired police officer, and when, I come in contact with officers who have gone to, they did not go through the process, there's something missing. You don't have that empathy, you don't have that connection, because you have never been in an environment. So you're not invested in that environment. But I think Apex moved that into a way that it made all people realize that everybody's the same. And I know you're talking about the 150th anniversary. Well, I remember the 100th anniversary. I think I was 16, and they had pageants and all this other stuff going on. I remember that. And again, 50 years ago, people they came together, and they worked on the celebration. And so again, Apex has done great things, and and what I like now is that the diversity in the leadership in Apex is continuing, and everybody has a voice. No one is on the outside looking in. There's a voice, and your voice is heard, and not only heard, if something can be addressed. Take into consideration the name of the street right beside the church. You have Salem, and it's now Justice Heights. Well, once upon a time, Justice Heights, the street was named Lynch Street. And, and of course, in being in a black community, lynch has a different meaning, and once this was discussed, and once it was brought kind of to the town's attention, then it took several years for the name of Lynch Street to be changed to Justice Heights. And so it's just things that are so important. And when the town administration, the town leaders, when they see these things, they address these things. And that's what makes Apex home, is that when issues come up, someone is listening, and not only listening, they're willing to do. I want Apex to always keep in mind that they should not be exclusive, but inclusive. Because say right now housing, affordable housing, there are times when although you work every day, you cannot afford to live in a decent house. So I'm believing that Apex will do some things to help those individuals that live here be a part of affordable housing, because it is the American dream to own your own home. But and although you're working, but that dream is out of reach, and I'm hoping that Apex will see that. Okay, yes, that Apex is very, the economy is doing well. People, they're seeking. I mean, Apex is the peak of good living, and yes, Apex is the peak of good living. But I would not want to see Apex being, I would say, those that cannot afford to live here. I mean, and then there, I know in some towns you can't afford to live in the town, but you can work in the town. But I would like to see, Apex, live, work, and play in this town, and affordable housing and education. The educational system is real. I mean, have some prime things. Keep on doing those things, because as you prepare for the future, then you make this place a better place. And so, and there always has to be diversity. There always has to be, because in having different people come together, that's what makes a community. That what gives people the insight of is not me, it is we. And so I think if Apex would just keep on doing what they're doing, and addressing the needs, and it is one of the greatest places to live. People want to live in Apex, because of what the leadership of the town has been, and people will seek out Apex. It's better than any other small town in the area. St. Mary AME Church is located at the corner of Justice Heights and Salem Streets. It was established in 1919. It is now 103 years old. What happened in prior to, say, 2023, when the churches started, they only had church twice a month. Okay, and what would happen is that there are other churches in the community. So when you did not have church, then you would go to the Baptist church. Okay, and then when the Baptist church didn't have a church, then they would go, to the CME church, Christian Methodist Church across the street, St. Paul, and the same thing. So everybody rotated until the churches began to grow, and then they will become station church. St. Mary became a station church probably maybe 25 years ago, whereby they were having church every Sunday. And so that's where basically how St. Mary is. My family is deeply rooted in St. Mary. The name of the church, St. Mary, Mary is my great-grandmother. So my understanding was that she was such a significant person that they wanted to name the church after her, and she was a white woman. And so that's where we get the name St. Mary from. And so, and the church has always been invested in the community. And I can think of two things that that the church has been doing, and one is our food pantry. Our food pantry, who is managed by Shirley Fieldings, and this is a volunteer position, but she and the other people spend hours upon hours making sure that those that are food insecure have food. And even during the pandemic, the food pantry did not close. And because that is such a great ministry that, and it helps the community and people from all around. Although I'm the former pastor of St. Mary, but every now and then I would get a phone call from someone and they would say, Reverend Taylor, when is the food pantry open? And of course I tell them, I'm not the pastor, but these are the hours that I understand, or you can call someone. Because if there's a need, and not only you come and you're able to get the food, but you feel like you're part of the family. You're not looked down on, because some places you go, it's like, oh, we're doing our duty. I do believe that there's so much love in the food pantry ministry and those that volunteer, that when people leave, they leave with a smile on their face. They don't leave like, oh, I had to do this. They leave like, I'm just part of the family, and at this point in my life, and I need something. And I know that there have been times that people have been, quote, down on their luck, and they were able to come to the food pantry. But once they become reestablished, then they are the ones who is bringing food and to the food pantry for someone else. And I think that is great. And that's what the churches should be doing. We should be involved in the community, helping those, because the only way people, how to put this in, the only way people is going to see Christ is through what we do. And so I'm just ecstatic about the food pantry, and there are times also that we had a summer camp for the kids during the summertime. We had up to 35 kids 5 days a week, feeding them breakfast and lunch, and waiting for their parents to get off of work. And that was great. So again, St. Mary has been a church that is deeply rooted in its commitment to serving the community. And I am so proud of what they are accomplishing and what they continue to do.